Well, this one's bound to be a cheery one, isn't it? Depression, as many of you will be well aware, is truly punishing. And in my own experience, it doesn't come as a big, shocking gut punch, but as a feeling of insidious, creeping dread. You feel ground down, weak, broken, and feelings of minor disappointment mutate and contort into deep, inescapable misery. What starts as an almost negligible irritation can so suddenly consume everything, and you're the same person no more. At times like this, you're bereft of energy, and even your favourite hobbies can feel pointless. But what is important when feeling like this is to find what you do love about these things, and indeed life as a whole. Begin to rebuild and break the shackles of the silent killer. This brings me to my particular escape from depression, Dark Souls. I'm going to be walking over well-trodden ground here, and in part this video was inspired by Writing About Games' excellent video on the subject. Hamish Black hits the nail on the head there, and there are many other videos on the subject. Clearly, however, depression and artistic interpretation are very subjective experiences, and this is my own. Dark Souls on the face of it does seem like an unusual choice to combat mental illness. It's bleak, ruthless, foreboding and unquestionably, notoriously difficult. Surely the last thing you want when feeling at your lowest is to be met with failure at every turn. Surely a more chipper and colourful game would be a much more effective distraction. Well, possibly, but that's all it will be, a distraction. When the game is closed and you come back to reality, nothing feels different. Nothing has changed and the day must be faced again. But with From Software's games, I believe there is something very different. The world created is dour and hopeless. A once beautiful, bustling world is on its knees. Heroes of old have all lost hope, and anything that doesn't want you dead longs to be dead.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I think you've done me a favour.
Despite everything, there seems to be a strange feeling of encouragement in Dark Souls. The soundtrack itself is melancholic, but also warm and relaxing, and the theatrical score during boss fights hints at glory soon to come. Then there's the online element. Throughout the game there are, mostly, encouraging messages. You can see silhouettes of other players on your journey and by your bonfire, who are on their own voyage of struggle. It serves to create a sensation of camaraderie. You are indeed alone, but there are others under the same dark cloud. Also, I know I mentioned the NPCs as a factor adding to the mellow feel, but they are more disinterested than hostile, so when there are outwardly friendly characters amongst the gloom, they are all the more memorable, and again give you that extra boost to best a seemingly unbeatable foe.
So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey?
The main story arc itself is one of hanging on to hope, as rekindling the first flame promises to banish the dark for some time. But for me, the true genius of Dark Souls is how this hope is translated through the gameplay. You will die playing Dark Souls. You'll die a lot. You'll fail, you'll lose everything, and you'll be expected to go again only to be beaten into the dirt once more. The vast majority of time spent on the Souls series will be spent on a run that ultimately goes nowhere. However, when you do succeed, when you beat a colossal enemy and break the skill ceiling and come out victorious, the feeling is truly incredible. The reward, the buzz, it makes the suffering, the pain and the defeat all feel worthwhile and part of the experience. Failure is indeed unavoidable, but necessary. You will learn, build, adjust and eventually come through the other side better for it. You know what that reminds me of? Life. Life isn't always going to be fun. It isn't always going to be successful, and a lot of the time you can give absolutely everything, but it just won't be enough. But life will always be worth it, for those few glorious moments wherever they may be. All of the struggle will be forgotten, and the only memories that will remain will be of victory, if only for a brief moment. Okay, so this can be dismissed as a long-shot comparison. And you could say that any difficult game or even hobby could impart such a lesson. But with Dark Souls, the experience is crafted with this payoff in mind from the ground up. Most enemies were once human, some highly respected, regal and powerful. The dead don't stay dead in Lordran, but should they hollow, they are no longer who they used to be and will never return. But how did they succumb to the hollowing, the plot-driving horror that the player is looking to defeat? Well, put simply, they lost hope or purpose. They gave up, and even the strongest lost their way, and lost what made them human, or God in some cases. The player, or rather the chosen undead, does not seem to go hollow upon death. Well, not in the game anyway. You can quite easily hollow and fail in your mission by giving up and leaving the game, leaving behind an empty vessel that will never fulfill their quest. Okay, there may not be a hollow in your save file per se, but a vacant, purposeless hero that never completes its journey? That fits the description both metaphorically and literally. This, for me, follows the depression thematic perfectly. And there's only one way to resist hollowing, as there's only one way to resist depression. You have to get up, dust yourself down and try again. Keep going and don't give in. Don't surrender to the temptation to end your journey, as the thrill of success may just be over the horizon.
You never give up, do you? I don't know how you do it.
This dichotomy of pain and hope is felt within the NPCs. Oscar goes hollow once it becomes clear that he cannot fulfill his family prophecy. Logan gives in when the subject of his obsession, Thief, is killed, and Siegmeyer goes hollow when he continuously fails in his attempts at heroism. Perhaps most tragically, the relentless optimist and companion of your quest, Solaire, too goes mad in his search of his son.
It's over. My son. It's dark. So dark.
It's clear, therefore, that almost anyone can fall prey to the ensuing blight. Let's look at the wider plot here, and how this may tie into the theme of overcoming depression. There are two endings available after defeating Lord Gwyn. You can choose to reignite the first flame and restart a cycle surely doomed to fail again, or allow the dark to take over Lordran, ushering in the Age of Man. It's really not a simple good versus bad ending, and to really drill into it I heartily recommend VatiVideo's channel. Looking at our depression narrative, however, and tying the ending into this may be difficult, but there is a possible draw from this. Perhaps re-beginning the Age of Light is to revert to a previous high, retreat to the last point of content and work from there, with a fake it till you make it approach. In the knowledge that one day this may all return and start again. Or alternatively, allow the dark to reign. Accept that pain and suffering is commonplace, but stride on regardless. The nihilistic guide to coping with existence. There's nothing you can do to stop pain, but you can choose to embrace the world in which you live, as there may be little alternative. In the words of Nietzsche, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. A sentiment I believe is shared by Hawkeye Goth.
One day the flames will fade, and only dark will remain, and even a legend such as thyself can do nothing to stop that.
For me then, it's obvious why this game is my depression antidote. It teaches you that pain is inevitable, but perseverance will be rewarded. No matter how bleak things get, you have to find hope and you have to keep going. In that, therefore, this miserable atmosphere of Dark Souls makes me feel so much better than any power fantasy or saccharine platformer possibly could. It's all about avoiding defeat, resisting hollowing, and finding the hope in hopelessness.
What's wrong? Get a bit of a scare out there? No problem. Have a seat and get comfortable. We'll both be hollow before you know it.
Thank you for watching my video. Now, we've touched on some pretty severe issues here, so I would be really interested to hear your own experience and thoughts on this narrative. I've included a few links in the description to the footage I've used in this video. And as mentioned earlier, check out Hamish Black's video at Writing on Games for his take. Once again, thank you for watching. I would greatly appreciate a like or a subscribe if you enjoyed it. Hope to see you in the next one.